what made you decide to work on your brand, and where were you stuck when we started our journey together?
Honestly, there was the thought in the last year of I need to make a pivot. This was like I was a fork in the road. I either need to get with the program and do something very different, which was to start the social sellings, get involved in social media. I either needed to do that and do it right, or I needed to go ahead and just exit this wonderful world and find another career that I was could enjoy just as much. And so I decided at that point, I'm going to give it everything I've got. And so I had to figure out how to organize my thoughts and uh, understand who I was as a brand, as a person that people would want to work with, because they are buying you. And I think in sales in general, they are always buying you. They have to feel confidence in you, and how do you get those people to take notice of you when you've got a ocean, and I mean a literal ocean of realtors all around you? Everybody is digging for the same clients. And how do you find yourself there, and how do you have the confidence to really say, hey, look at me, here's who I am. I'm not going to be for everyone, but for my people, come here. So how do I beckon those people? So I had to figure that out. Like, how do I do that in this technology world of social selling and all these different platforms, and do it in a way that was comfortable for me most of all.
Right. Yeah. What made you decide then to work with me?
Mm-hmm. Well, I've never met anybody like you before, Open, I have to say. Um, I noticed, so we were in a group, or actually we were in a group where um, I was able to observe your intellect and your creativity. I was able to observe how you responded and guided people in our group who were at all different levels of expertise and experience in their own fields, but all of them looking for the same thing, which was how are we making ourselves more approachable, better understood, and how are we getting people to say, we're saying pick me, but we don't know who we are. So how do we get people to notice that? But I noticed that your feedback was very thoughtful, very creative, very pointed. There was something under if you had, like, how kids have this little blanket and they play peekaboo, like I felt like there was a lot more underneath there, and I wanted to see more of it. And your insight was really relevant to whatever that person was that we were all kind of working together to sort of help each other. And I was very impressed with that.
Thank you. What would you say was your biggest win of us working together?
Um, I mean, honestly, it's so simple that it was just like I couldn't believe it. So what I think the biggest impact was the fact that I can be my oopsies, I can be myself. That with self-acceptance, the liberating feeling that comes with, like, I don't have to I can be vulnerable. I can be myself. I can tell my stories, because if I just close my eyes for like 5 seconds, I see so many stories everywhere all the time now. I can't even, like, if I need a piece of paper and something to write down constantly, like, oh my God, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my God. And which I started doing, actually, just to sort of spur me in the moment to think about what the stories are, the kind of content I want to put out there. Um, and I think so the biggest two things, because one is not more important than the other, was that there are so many stories. There is an endless supply of stories. There's so much. It's all there within me, number one. Number two is I can just be myself. I don't have to try to look like or be like or sound like or dress like or any of that business. You know, um, I deal with high-end real estate, hundreds of thousands of and millions of dollars of real estate. So yes, there's a point in which your image is, you've got to be professional. You've got to, you know, there's a certain modicum of professionalism that is necessary, but that doesn't mean I have to not put my style on it. You know, I can completely put my twist on it, put my flavor, whatever you want to call it. And so I just really feel like you gave me permission to say, fuck it. This is who I am. Um, and I'm not for everybody, and that's okay. And and the fact that I actually do have all of this creativity in, I have it. I really never thought I
Mhm.
did, but I actually do have it. So now when I sit with, I have a social media manager now, and we meet once a week, and her and all I do is tell her the stories, and she pulls out of it all of the, she writes it properly with, but it's my story, and she understands that we have who our target market is, and that is the beauty of it, is that I'm the one telling the story. I'm not necessarily sitting there making the grammar exactly the way it's supposed to be, but I'm the one that's creating. I'm the one that's delivering to my audience the expertise of what it is that I do and who it is that I am. And so with those things coming together, the knowledge that I have and the ability to just, on a human level connect with people, I think that's the magic that you were able to help me marry. Because I always had the expertise. I just didn't know how to relate who I am and the stories and the life experience to that expertise. So now that's basically the magic of Opana working with you.
I love that. And I think that's such an important point because a lot of times people do things in the reverse order where they might hire a social media manager to be able to write their stories that the social media managers don't really know because they are trying to make stuff up, right? Because they don't know you the way you know yourself. So now it's kind of in the right order where you know yourself and you can kind of share your stories and then they can create content through that.
Yes, yes.
I think that's really, really beautiful.
And I think it's also too, there's even more of a pressure, I think, when you're a woman and when you're a woman of color. Because remember, as a
Yes,
con
and that was the other part I was going to ask you about, like the internal shift, because we talked like a little bit about that,
yeah.
just being able to. So I'd love for you to share like a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of, I think we go through life at this point in our evolution, I'm a woman in my 50s. I understand what about the struggles of what history has, it's just what has happened to certain groups of people. And in where we are right now, I think there's a lot of people who either in the younger 30s, 40s don't really remember or haven't been taught the history or don't just choose not to remember it. And then there's those that really do, but still choose not to actually deal with it. So when I say deal with it, it is the fact that there is still in our society, as much as people would like to say it's not, a preference or a leaning towards the white, successful, straight blonde hair, blue-eyed kind of like that's a better thing, smarter thing. Maybe even the choices we make is when we choose our realtor and our cleaning lady and our mechanic, we tend to put people in these boxes. And that is something that it's a real thing. It's not something that it still exists. It still exists in our, 2023 in the 21st century here. So I I know it's there. I don't make any excuses for any of my failures, but I absolutely want to be given the opportunity and the chance. And there is a little bit more work I have to do to show that, hey, yes, I'm articulate, I have the knowledge, and I can go up against the best and most successful realtors in my area and and actually win very successful contracts. So there's a little bit more there that I have to do, but I don't that I'm I just that just makes me better at what I do, quite honestly. So I'm very happy for that. And as a woman of color, it is extremely exciting for me to be able to win those contracts and to serve my clients at a very high level. I just want the same opportunity as everybody else. That's really the message. And I think
So do you feel like you were able to get to that place where you feel like a lot more comfortable being a woman of
confidence,
confident? Yeah.
confidence is what you're saying, I believe, is that we have to really understand who we are in order to project the confidence, because anyone that's looking at a professional for service, whether it's a lawyer or a person who's coming to put the roof, to bid the roof on, put the $20,000 roof on your house, anyone that is coming, they're looking at you, they're looking for you to know that you know what you're doing and that you're confident. Inside confidence has to be absolutely at the top of the table. So working with you, what happened was I was really able to peel back the hesitation of what it was that I was second guessing. There's no need for me to second guess. And understanding my own story was the way for me to build, wait a minute, I'm fantastic. I absolutely know what I'm doing, and I knew what I was doing, but I was second guessing myself sometimes. So that was very powerful for me to have, because no matter what anybody tells you about who they think you are, if you don't really believe and
Yes.
know who you are, it's just going to bounce off of you.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that. That was one of the great things that came with working with you, Opana.
I love that. So do you feel like you were able to get to that place where you feel like a lot more comfortable being a woman of
Confidence.
confident? Yeah.
Confidence is what you're saying, I believe, is that we have to really understand who we are in order to project the confidence, because anyone that's looking at a professional for service, whether it's a lawyer or a person who's coming to put the roof, to bid the roof on, put the $20,000 roof on your house, anyone that is coming, they're looking at you, they're looking for you to know that you know what you're doing and that you're confident. Inside confidence has to be absolutely at the top of the table. So working with you, what happened was I was really able to peel back the hesitation of what it was that I was second guessing. There's no need for me to second guess. And understanding my own story was the way for me to build, wait a minute, I'm fantastic. I absolutely know what I'm doing, and I knew what I was doing, but I was second guessing myself sometimes. So that was very powerful for me to have, because no matter what anybody tells you about who they think you are, if you don't really believe and
Yes.
know who you are, it's just going to bounce off of you.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that. That was one of the great things that came with working with you, Opana.
I love that of support that you got.
I would say the most supportive was that you kept going back to the basics. Like when I would say these little things and you would say, wait a second, and you'd stop me and we'd go right back to the basics. Who are we? Who are we trying to attract? Who are we trying to, who's our target here? And if the target is not in alignment with who I am, like there's a misstep here, then you would always bring me back to the basics of, okay, let's figure out, where that gap is, and let's close that gap. And then the exercise itself was, I believe, the richness of it. That's one thing. But the second thing was just having the conversations,
Yeah.
because I just having those conversations on a weekly basis to bring me back to, oh, wow, it's just a constant reminder. I mean, who do we sit with on a daily or weekly basis and go back into our history? I mean, it's almost like therapy work, actually, if I could sort of dub it something right now, and a name. There's a little bit of therapy work in that, but all good stuff, because what it did was it allowed me to understand myself a whole lot more. It was mostly the attitude of go for it. You are, so I have a 5-year plan. I have a 5-year plan of what I want to do for the next 5 years. And after that is going to be something completely different, but it's based on the successes that I'm having now is going to take me through this next 5 years. Those are the building blocks. So I would say that in
So, one of the things that you had mentioned, which I just remembered that I was going to bring up, was you talked about uncorking the genie.
yes, 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 yes,
And I
yes.
love that so much because I don't think anybody said that to me before. So when you said it, it was just something that stuck with me, uncorking the genie. So do you feel that that was like, that's kind of been,
A definite result was there, because first I had to realize that there was a genie, and then I had to figure out how to let it out. And that's when I talk about, like, the fact that I see stories everywhere now that I never saw before. So I think it was that made it. That's the biggest result, was I did not know that there were stories that they're around me and in me that were absolutely relevant and could be something that my audience could relate to. So that's it in a nutshell. It was the uncorking of the genie. It was the confidence, the self-awareness, and understanding that, yes, I can, absolutely, I have that creative spell that I can throw out there.